They announced it in Shul today, and they'll be over tonight.
Don't walk too far this way, because maybe everyone feels
okay, that's true. So the official title tonight is Insights in Our Siddur. I want to make the Siddur bring it to life a little bit. But I want to start with Rosh Chodesh as an example. Now, how many times a year do we have Rosh Chodesh? Approximately 12, depending on the year. Like how many times a year do you have Yom Kippur? It's easy, right? How many? Once. Okay, I think you're right, but we have a problem. You know why? Because if you go to shul tomorrow morning and you have a musaf, don't we add musaf on Rosh Chodesh? What do we say when musaf starts? Roshei Chodeshim remembers. Lamchana Tata. You can finish for me. Oh, very good. Say it louder. Zman. Kavara. L'chol. Tosam. The first thing we say is we're thanking God for giving us Rosh Chodesh as a time of. We're not thanking God for Rosh Chodesh. We're thanking God that on Rosh Chodesh He gives us an opportunity for kapara. And kapara is the same word as Kippurim. How do we know the Yom Kippur is the time of kapara? Does Chumash say the Yom Kippur is the time of kapara? You ever enjoy Yom Kippur? Of course so. Remember? It's explicit that Yom Kippur is the time of kapara. But according to the Siddur tells us that Rosh Chodesh is also a time of kapara, even though Chumash never says that. You follow? In fact, you never even noticed it, did you? Everyone's heard of Rosh Chodesh, and no one ever noticed it's a time of kapara, even though you probably knew it by heart. Because you only told me there was one Yom Kippur a year. But the first thing I want to try and understand is what makes Rosh Chodesh a Yom Kippur, and how does the Siddur know it's Yom Kapara? And I guess, what else is there? They say Yom, is it also Yom Zikaron or not? Rosh Chodesh. That Musaf also. Zikaron l'chulam yu, utrat nafsham yad soneh. In fact, there's something we mumble even in benching on Rosh Chodesh. What prayer is that? What prayer do we add on Rosh Chodesh? Shmoneh Esrei and benching. Yeah. Everyone knows. Is that one word or two words? Ya'alev Yavo is two words. What's going up? Ya'alev Yavo, Yagia. What's going up? Louder? Yes, you're saying good. Now, what's going up? You ever pay attention what's going up on Zichronenu? And what else? Zichron Avotenu. Why are these Zichronot going up? Because what are we asking God to do on this day? Zachrenu Hashem Elokeinu V'Avatollah. No, for some reason, when we say Ya'alev Yavo, we also are assuming that Rosh Chodesh is also a time of Zikaron. We say so, don't we? Now, is there a holiday in Chumash called Yom Zikaron? What holiday is that? What's it called? What do we call that holiday? Yeah. But when we daven on Rosh Hashanah Musaf, we say Mekadesh Yisrael V'Yom HaZikaron, and we say Ya'alev Yavo, we say V'Yom HaZikaron as that, don't we? Our Siddur calls Rosh Hashanah Yom HaZikaron. So does Chumash. Remember, the Zikaron Truah. Now, but according to our Siddur, Rosh Chodesh is also Yom Zikaron, and it's also a Yom of Kapara. Or basically, speaking of one word, it's a mini Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. Because that's for sure one word, isn't it? Like, where are you going to be for Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur? And do you have seats for Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur? Got it? Do you buy something to wear for Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur? And what happens is, once a year, Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, one word, takes 10 days. Once a month, it's 1 day. Got that? Or basically, the question is Rosh Chodesh a mini Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, or is Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur a yearly, super duper Rosh Chodesh? Got the idea? Now, what I want to do in the first part of this year is try to explain where all that's coming from. And now we have a source sheet. Pass this around. Let's go this way. Go that way. No one has any idea why it's called Yom HaZikaron, do you? No one in the right mind would. If someone asked you on the street, why is Rosh Chodesh a time of Zikaron, you'd have no idea. Because you thought it was a new moon. Yeah. I think it's a new moon. Even though I don't see it yet. Now, everyone have the page? Page? All good? You have plenty. You good? You like sharing? Good? We're good? We're good? We're good, we're good. Okay. We're good. Yeah, no, we have plenty.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, lots of stuff. Lots of stuff over here also. We're good? Oh, he's 40. Very good. Already. Now, look at the top on the first source. I was mumbling that before. Now our siddur, which we're going to say tomorrow, is going to explain to us how the siddur knows that Rosh Chodesh is the time of Kapara. What does it say? According to our Chumash, what do we do on Rosh Chodesh? We're going to read it tomorrow in Shul. What does Chumash tell us to do on Rosh Chodesh? Unlike any other day of the week. Are there any laws for Rosh Chodesh? You can do Malacha, can't you? It's not a Yom Tov. But what's special about Rosh Chodesh? In the Mikdash we bring a special Korban. What Korban is that? Who remembers? Anyone remember by heart? Everyone remembers? In fact, what's the proof that we bring a special Korban on Rosh Chodesh? That's right. And what's Musaf mean? An additional what? Not an additional prayer, an additional sacrifice. Because what does God eat every day? What's his daily? God doesn't have to eat. But what do we symbolically bring him every day to eat? The tamid. And what animal is that? Remember a little lamb? Isn't it? The other religion copied us. Or Mary did. But you still know that song? We bring a lamb in the morning, a lamb in the evening. Okay? Don't we? That's like something small. What happens on Rosh Chodesh? What do we bring to God? It's like one of those Jewish wedding shmorgs, isn't it? What do we bring God on Rosh Chodesh? Anyone remember? I'll press the button for you. We ask God to rebuild the Mikdash and then we'll bring, and then Roshei Chodshechem Takrivu Ola Lashem Parim v'Nevakar. Oh, here we go. Now I press the button. How many Parim? 2. Okay. Va'ayo. How many Elim? 1. Keep going for me. How many Kvasim? Last count. Kvasim? I'll do it. You have to do it like you've done. Parim v'Nevakar Shnayim Ve'al Echad. Kvasim b'nei Shana. Shiva Tmimim. And then Ustir Echad V'Chatat. There's kind of about 2 Parim, 2 cows, a ram, 7 lambs, and a stir for a sin offering. That's a lot of meat, isn't it? So way more than a daily thing. Why all of a sudden is God so hungry on Rosh Chodesh? Obviously he's not hungry. Or why do we bring these kaparot on Rosh Chodesh? So the first thing we say in Musaf is, how do we know that it's the time of kapara? Because God commands us, unlike on a regular day, on this day we have to bring a korban chatat, a sin offering. But what animal are we bringing? A sir l'chatat. Now, on what holiday do we bring a sir l'chatat besides Rosh Chodesh and make a big deal about it? On what holiday do we take a sir l'chatat? Actually, we take 2. And remember in Yom Kippur, there's the sir l'Hashem, sir l'Hashem. And what does that do for us on Yom Kippur? It gives us kapara. So if it's working on Yom Kippur, it must work on Rosh Chodesh. Understand? And because we bring a sir chatat, like we say here, that's how Chazal knows that it's the time of kapara. Got that? So look at it's also a time of zikaron, and a time of Yeshua. Where's that from? That's a lot easier, because look right below us in source B. Right? In other words, it's during times of joy. There's a pasuk in Sefer Bamidbar. Who's going to read it for me? Who's going to read it for me? Who's my reader? Okay, let's show. You can answer questions if you can read. No, the one on the left. Okay.
ביום שמחתכם ובמועדיכם ובראשי חדשכם ותקצם בחצוצרות על עולותיכם ועל זבחי שלמיכם והיו לכם לזיכרון לפני אלוקיכם אני השם אלוקיכם.
Understand? What do we have? That on our days of rejoicing and on Rosh Chodesh, what are we commanded to do as a nation? In the temple, in the Beit HaMikdash, we're supposed to blow shofar. Got that? And what we'll do for us? What's Chumash telling us? Not only on Rosh Chodesh, but on all the holidays. Every holiday is also a Yom Zikaron, which means a day of judgment, or a day of remembrance. So we have to remember God, and God remembers or judges us. That's how Chazal understand it. And it's because of this pasuk. What do we add to davening because of this pasuk? What prayer do we add to davening because of this pasuk? Exactly on all these days. We should figure that out by now. Exactly. Is that Yalav Yovel? Yalav Yalav. But it just, I can't understand why no one ever teaches why we say Yalav Yalav. Everyone knows Yalav Yalav. You all went through Jewish education. But no one ever explains the connection between Chumash and Yalav Yalav. But that's the source. It's right here. It's not a Chiddush. It's so simple, no one even explains it. Chumash is telling us that our holidays are a time of Zikaron. Now, to explain why our holidays on Rosh Chodesh are a time of Zikaron, you have to understand the context of this pasuk, which is amazing. It's almost like almost parenthetical in Chumash. Something so important. In Sefer Bamidbar, we're traveling from Har Sinai to the land of Israel, and we're getting ready to go. And God commands the people of Israel in the desert to make trumpets. It's called the Mitzvah Chatzatzrot. And why do we need trumpets? Because we blow one sound and we gather, another sound we travel, and we have to know who travels when. It's one of the most boring parts of Chumash, but as far as Sefer Bamidbar. When we finish the laws of the trumpets in the desert, we have sort of a footnote. Oh, by the way, we also have to blow trumpets when we come to the land of Israel, and we're back to like normal life. And listen to the first pasuk right before it, during times of trouble. Read it. What's that mean? When you come to the land, you conquer it, and you have a nation. Let's say theoretically, a situation comes up where there's a war that's very imminent. Maybe one of our neighboring countries is planning to attack us, bomb us, who knows what. No. In one of these theoretical situations where we're in danger, we have an enemy, right? And we're in trouble. What do we need to do? Of course, we have to prepare. We have to, do
Iron Dome.
Iron Dome. We have to do cyber warfare. Whatever we have to do. But we also have to turn to God. Like when you're sick, you go to a doctor and you also pray. So how do we pray? What's that mean? Hariotem, you read it properly, means you, like Truah. You blow a loud sound with the shofar, you blow a Truah with the shofar, and that wakes people up. Okay? And if you do so properly, you don't need it to wake up God, but you need that to wake up ourselves. So we have to remember God, so He'll remember us. But it's not only a question of remembering. When you remember and understand that God is your boss, and He's going to determine the outcome of that upcoming battle, or maybe even prevent it, then if you take upon yourself to be sincere, then that gives God a reason to save you. Because according to Chumash, the reason why it's almost bad is because you've done something wrong. According to Chumash, when Am Yisrael does a poor job of representing God and don't keep His mitzvot properly, God brings enemies to punish us. Remember in Sefer Shoftim it says it in the beginning, Parag Gimel right in the beginning, these are the nations that God brought to keep us in check. Again, I'm talking about on the national level, not on the individual level. God keeps His nation in check by giving us trouble when we're not doing a good job. And when we have to understand what we're doing wrong, we have to blame somebody else. It's never our fault. Now, so what's it saying to do? We have to remember God, and then by remembering God, what's implied here is that we do proper tshuva, and then if we do proper tshuva, He'll listen to our prayers, and He'll save us from our enemies. Now, if you remember Yom Kippur, actually look at the very bottom, on D. See D? On the right, on the bottom of the page. Once a year, on what Rosh Chodesh? On the 7th month Rosh Chodesh, we have a super duper Rosh Chodesh, and it's called a Zichron Truah. What does Zichron Truah mean? Does that mean we have to remember? We know that from Zichron Truah we're all familiar with. Does Zichron Truah mean we have to remember to blow shofar, or do we blow shofar to remember? You follow? Are we blowing shofar to remember that God is going to determine our outcome, or do we have to remember to blow shofar? It's obviously the first one, right? That's what Zichron Truah means. That's why we call it Yom Zikaron Hazeh, not Yom Truah Hazeh. It's Yom Zikaron because we're being judged on that day. Yom Adin. That's for sure. Chazal understand it. And why is it Zikaron? And why is it Truah? Because it's through the means of a Truah is our wake up call. It's called in fancy English. It's called shtick. You need to do shtick to get people to wake up, and it works. It does a good job if you have a good shofar blow. Now watch what happened. What's Chumash say? Did we finish the pasuk? I'm sorry. Read That was pasuk 10. Here's the most important part of this year. Okay. We have two psukim, pasuk 10 and pasuk 11. Pasuk 10 says, when are we obligated to blow shofar? whenever we're in trouble, whenever there's a tzara, whenever you're in trouble, you have to blow shofar. The next pasuk says, when else do you have to blow shofar? Even when you're not in trouble, every Rosh Chodesh and every holiday. But they must be connected. To explain the connection and to explain basically our Jewish holidays, all we need to do is talk about a dentist. Anyone here a dentist or going to dental school? Maybe? Nobody?
It doesn't pay enough.
But has anyone ever been to a dentist? Everyone, right? You're all smiling. Because you went to a dentist. Just for occasional smile. Now, tell me when you go to a dentist. Give me an example of when you go to the dentist.
Twice a year.
Why do you go twice a year? What's that called?
It's called dentist telling you need to go twice a year.
It's a Jewish dentist. But even that's telling you you need a root canal when you don't. That's called a routine checkup. Okay. When else would you go to the dentist?
Toothache.
If you have a toothache. When you have a toothache, you go to the dentist. That's how most people go. And some people go for the routine checkup every 6 months. Now, if you go for a routine checkup and get a cleaning every 6 months, is there more chance or less chance you're going to need a root canal or go to the dentist for a toothache? What's the obvious answer? If you do proper hygiene and take a routine checkup, you don't go to the dentist every day. You brush your teeth every day, but you don't go to the dentist for a routine checkup every day. It's too often. Every 5 years is not often enough. What do? We have a routine checkup. But by going to routine checkup, that's going to prevent the need for a toothache. Now, look at Pasuk Tet and Pasuk Yud. What's Pasuk Tet? When you're in trouble, when you have a tzar as a nation, any day of the year, any time of the year, you can always cry out to God. What's that compared to? That's your toothache. But even when you don't have a toothache, what else do you have to do? Once a month, what do you need? You need a routine checkup. You understand the Jewish holidays now? That's what they are. They're a routine checkup. A routine checkup. A routine. We in the Mikdash. What? In the Mikdash we did. This is a law for the Mikdash. But because the goal is not to blow chol, that's why the Rabbi gives the drasha, and that's why it's the time of wake up call. That's why we daven. Now, what do we do? Besides this, Chumash says we bring korbanot, don't we? Now I want to introduce like a bit of a different topic here. I want to understand what Chumash says that we do. We bring the smorgasbord to God. And obviously it can't be because God's hungry. I want to claim the following. I want to claim that our Beit HaMikdash, which is Parshat Truma coming up, is not the classic temple, but rather I call it a national theater. I'll explain what I mean. What we need to do is, being a Jewish nation, we have a relationship with God, even a partnership with God. He's our boss. We work for him. That's the Ten Commandments. Now, that's what's called Brit Sinai. When we go for a routine checkup, what's our routine checkup about? About how are we doing as a nation? And during our routine checkup, we have to remember what our connection with God is all about. What book did God give us to explain to us how and why we're chosen? What's that book called? Torah. And which book of the Torah talks about how we were first chosen and why we were chosen? It's Breshit, isn't it? Now, Breshit has some awesome stories in it, isn't it? What I want to show you is that every korban relates to a story. Important story. And the first two you can do on your own. The Ayol Ola. We always bring one Ayol Ola, only one. Always an Ayol Ola, don't we? Every time there's a Musaf. Why? Is there a story about an Ayol Ola?
Yeah, Keda.
Yeah, Keda. That's right. Yeah, Keda. Now, does that story carry a message about our relationship with God? No. You can argue what that message is. In fact, commentators have been doing that for years, but for ages, for thousands of years. The Akedah is a story about man's relationship with God, and Avram Avinu's relationship with God, all its tensions, all its complexities. Now, assuming that story has a message, whatever that message is, when I bring an Ayol La'olah, it reminds me not just of the story, but that story and its message, which is part of being chosen, the birth of Yitzchak, the Shvuah, without giving a share on the Akedah. Assuming there's a message, which I think is safe to assume. Now, I'll do another really easy one, and then we'll do the hard one. The next easy one is a series in. When we bring a chatat, when the nation of Israel brings a sin offering, as a nation, it's always the same animal. What's it always going to be? Don't you remember from Musaf? Min Chatavis came to Bar, Shosh Asim Lafar, Sesfer no Ayo, Yitron Lakevet. Bianchi is called, remember, Beser Lachaper, Sneit Midi, and Kil Chatam. Remember? Now, that's a refrain, because every holiday has that. And the Chatat that the Tzibor brings is always a Sa'ir. There's a great story, there's a musical about it, isn't there?
Joseph.
Yeah, where in the story of Joseph is there the blood of a goat?
After they sold them, they dipped the
what do? They tell their brother, or I want to tell their brother, they do something really rotten to their brother, and how do they cover up their sin? Remember what they do? Remember what they do? They don't want to take the blame. They have to blame somebody else. That's the first thing you learn growing up. When something goes wrong, you blame it on somebody else. Now, they want the father to take the blame. So what do? They send the coat, bloodstained, asking him, hey, do you know this? And then, oh my gosh, that's my son. And then who sent him on this crazy trip? The father. What they're doing is called in English rotten, isn't it? Disgusting. It's a terrible thing they do. But where do they get the blood from? It says, Vayishchatu et ha'se'ir. They shech the se'ir. Actually, it's on, flip the page over. Or no, there's another page, I'm sorry. There we go. Sorry about that. Yeah, lots of pages tonight. Keep you awake.
Like the thing chat in the paper.
Yeah. How we doing here? Yeah, this way? You guys all have?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Look at everyone have source A on the next page now. Now the page we just we're finished. We did Yisadi Yalav about Zichronenu. I'm trying to make davening make sense. I think it does make sense. We all know Yalav Yava, but I'm interested in why we're saying Yalav Yava. More? Now, we're good? Now, the first source there is the Korban Tzibur we bring. Okay, I was mumbled too fast. Every day we bring a keves echad in the morning, and then pasuk in Aleph there. On Rosh Chodesh you bring parim b'nei bakashnayim, al echad, pasim b'nei shiva, tzruch pasim echad techatat. And we have the Akedah for the Ayod Olah. See that? I don't have to bring the pasuk, even you all know that. We'll get to see in a minute. Flip the page over. Yosef and his brothers. What happened? They tell the brother, pasuk lamed Aleph, vaychu et ktonat Yosef, vayishchatu sirizim. And then, what happens later on though, again, you can check the psukim later, it's not just a story about sin, but it's a story about, it's not one chapter, it's 10 chapters. It's a story about tshuva. Now, how do the brothers begin the tshuva process? What do? Certain things happen in their life. And they start waking up, oh my gosh, how did that happen? How did that happen? Ooh. And all of a sudden, oh my gosh, wait, maybe we're to blame. Maybe we shouldn't blame somebody else. Maybe we should take responsibility. And now when they realize it's their fault, they do something about it, don't they? Yehuda takes initiative. They're willing to give themselves up. It's a whole process of tshuva. Now, when I'm standing in front of God, especially as a nation on Rosh Chodesh, and I want to remember about I want to perfect my relationship with God, and I want to remember what it's all about, I'm going to take a story from Chumash. I want to remember its message. And what's a great way to remember the message of Yosef and his brothers, and what we're supposed to learn from that story? Remember, we don't just learn how bad we were. We learn how bad we tend to be, and now we have to learn to fix that, learn from our mistakes, and make things better. It's part of Judaism, not being better, but not being perfect, but perfecting, learning to do what's right, and learning from our mistakes. Now, what do we do in Rosh Chodesh as a nation, especially when we gather together, sort of as preventive medicine for Sinas Achim, and remembering the message of Yosef and his brothers? We bring a Seder Chatat. Okay? Now, flip the page back over. We have to do the 7, that's the aisle. We have to do the 7 kvasim. Now, you might remember this story. There's a city named after it. It's called Beersheba. Remember Avram? He's making the rounds. And there's a leader, like the biggest king in the time of Avram Avinu. What was his name? And what made him a king? Was his father a king? How do we know his father was the king? His name is Avimelech. And what gave him power? Remember, he's always traveling with Fichol, the head of his army. That's another way to become king. Own an army, and you can become king. Now, read for me. See, who's my reader? Elisheva. We read this on the first day of Rosh Hashanah, and not by chance. What are we saying? God is with you. What are you saying? What's Avimelech saying? Avimelech sees that God's with Avram in everything he does. Now, how does Avimelech know that Avram is successful? How do you know anyone's successful? Well, you see, you interact with him because he's successful. How does Avimelech know that it's because of Avram's relationship with God? Because what's Avram doing 24/7? He talks about God all the time, doesn't he? He calls out in God's name. The people of Hebron say he's the Prince of God. He wasn't elected. He elected himself. No. Avram is known as a man of God. He talks about God, and he acts in a way that makes God look good. And he's successful. And what's Avimelech saying? You know what? There must be a connection between your success and your connection to God. And that's going to become a paradigm for Jewish history, to be what's called a light to other nations. We want other nations, other kingdoms to recognize God through our behavior. And therefore, what's he do though? He makes a treaty with him. Skip the pasuk Chavchet. Get safe. Even Avimelech doesn't understand what it is, but these 7 kvasim are going to be a sign of the treaty between Avram and Avimelech. And for us, it's going to be an eternal reminder. Lamed Bet, Bechatu Brit.
Bechatu Brit, the Be'er Shabbat.
What does Avram do in Be'er Sheva? He continues his mission of making a name for God. And therefore, 7 kvasim remind us of why we're chosen, and our goal as a nation to spread the concept of God by how we act and how we talk. Yeah.
Why did Avram choose 7?
7?
Why did he choose 7 kvasim?
That's a good question. I guess maybe you heard about 7 days of creation. But seven, if you follow the Bible, is a really cool number. It's like almost a not natural number, but
Because they had.
Kvasim is the default. Kvasim is your default animal. Like at the Korban Tamid is always the keves. Keves is like the main. It's like the dollar used to be. Now it's the euro or the Canadian dollar. Is it worth more now or not? Yeah, it's doing good. Now, got the idea of 7 kvasim. Now we're stuck with one animal. What animal we're left with? With Parim. What's Parim about? I don't need Breshit. I need Parshat Shavua we read today. Parshat Mishpatim. I think that's why I picked the topic for tonight. It's fresh in our minds. In Parshat Mishpatim, we talked the story about what happened in Har Sinai when Am Yisrael said Nasa B'Nishma. It was last Aliyah today, but maybe you remember. We gather at Har Sinai. Moshe reads the Sefer HaBrit, and everyone answers Nasa B'Nishma. And Chazal say the story happened earlier. But the most important thing there is, though, that together with gathering together at Har Sinai, receiving the Torah and saying Nasa B'Nishma, there was also a Kiddush. And that's why every shul, which is a replica of Har Sinai, also has a social hall. And that's why people come to shul. It's important. You should know that. That's serious. You need
after davening the kiddush.
Yeah, that's right. After davening. Now, a kiddush without Torah, coming to shul just for the kiddush, that's chet ego. If you know this, you know chet ego. Because the chet ego, they make a kiddush. It's the exact same thing. It's the same words, the same story. They build a mizbeach, I think, but there's no Torah, there's no Sefer HaBrit. It's just a party without a. We'll check it out one time. Now, what are we doing? Don't check out chet ego. Check out the story. Now, what we're doing is but they have a kiddush. They build a mizbeach and they bring korbanot, and they accept. What animals are they bringing? Look at the source. Is there a source there? I guess they didn't. E. That's very good. E. Oh, there it is, right there. How do you like that? Perfect. Thanks for honoring this up. Who wants to take over? Another reader? Okay, thank you. Stanley.
ויכתוב משה את כל דברי השם, וישכם בבוקר, ויבן מזבח תחת ההר, ו12 מצבה ל12 שבטי ישראל. וישלח את נערי בני ישראל, ויעלו עולות, ויזבחו זבחים שלמים להשם פרים.
That's it. There's one exclusive animal, as good as it gets, right? If you're going out to eat, like cow meat or real meat, that's good stuff. Not that soya stuff or that chicken stuff and turkey. No, puri. And then what to do? Moshe takes Chatzi Adam, and then Vakach Sefer HaBrit, and they say Nasa V'Nishma, I see that. And then they take, look, read Pasachet.
ויקח משה את הדם ויזרוק על העם. ויאמר, הנה דם הברית אשר כרת השם עמכם על כל הדברים האלה.
We take blood from the thing and we sprinkle the blood. We do that in the Beit HaMikdash. Of course we do. That reminds us of Nasa V'Nishma. Yeah.
Why do we give 2 cows instead of 1?
So sometimes it's 2, sometimes it's 1. It's parim. Parim is plural. So some holidays bring 2, like Rosh Chodesh, and some we bring 1, like Rosh Hashanah.
Is there any reason for that?
Why 2 or 1? I mean, I think parim is plural. 2 is but the main thing is cows. It's not the exact numbers. It's multiple cows.
It's a double burger.
A double, yeah. Or like on Sukkot we go like, 13. You get lots and lots. Now, if you look at the 4 animals, it works like a charm. Because let's go in order. Parim reminds us of Mamad Har Sinai. Accepting God as our boss, as a nation, that's probably one of the most events, if not the most important event in Jewish history. So bringing Parim reminds us not just of Mamad Har Sinai, but the Brit at Har Sinai, and having blood sprinkled and saying Nasa V'Nishma. Now, when we go on for our routine checkup, that's an important thing to remember, that we work for God as a nation. As a God, as a nation, and we pass that from one generation to the next. That's why we have education, that's why we have programs, you follow? It's not just, being Jewish is not just being Jewish, it's being knowing that you're part of a chain. It's not that you only have a responsibility to God, you have a responsibility for another generation, and to bring up another generation. For that you have to get married and have kids, but that's why also we have these things. Until New Yorkers come. Now, I'm just joking about New York. No, New York's wonderful, yeah. As long as you don't become a New Yorker. No. So, I get sidetracked. Purim, it focuses on our connection to God as a nation. The next Korban and Ayo is also being Adam Lamakom, but on the individual level. The Akedah story. That's classic religion. But again, I don't want to get into the message of the Akedah, but you know there's a message here about man's relationship with God, and the complexity of it, and the tension of it. Now, and the depth of it. So we have 2 between God and man. Then the next one, 7 Klasim already, is more why we're chosen. Why is it that I have the Parim? Why is it that we have a national connection to God? Because we have a message for mankind, the idea of being a light to other nations. Now, knowing that and remembering that on our routine checkup, that's important, isn't it? So that's going to be the 7 Klasim. And then, since we're gathering together, and everyone's together, what always tends to happen? Good old Sinat Achim. You probably tend to argue, complain. I'm sure it doesn't happen in Toronto that Jews don't get along. But in case it might happen again, even if in Israel it happens a little bit. To remember the message of the story of Yosef and his brothers, and the danger of Sinat Achim, and more important, the whole process of tshuva, recognizing what you've done wrong and learning from your mistakes. In routine checkup, that's the most important thing to remember. And therefore, symbolically, bringing these animals is not to feed God. It's not a shmorg, but it's a shmorg of thought, a shmorg of ideas. And therefore, when we come for our routine checkups on the holidays, and monthly on Rosh Chodesh, and on the seasonal holidays, called the Shosh Regalim, when they're critical times of the agricultural year, what do? We do shtick. Or I call our national theater, we put on a play in the temple. And we take the different items that remind us of the stories of Brishit. Now, let's say you don't have a temple. Do we still daven? No. And what do we quote in davening? We quote all the korbanot that we brought in the Mikdash. But when I daven Musaf, and I remember why I was bringing those korbanot, then I can achieve the same understanding, and I can achieve the same goal of a routine checkup by understanding why I'm quoting these korbanot. What do the rabbis call that? The rabbis explain that's exactly why we daven. It says, Unshama Prem Sfatenu, that we daven instead of bringing the korban, not just as like a makeup, but you can achieve the exact same goal that the korban was there for, assuming that God doesn't need to be fed. Assuming that the korbanot are symbolic of our relationship, and to remind us of key things and their shtick, then davening, if it's understood properly, can be the same shtick in a positive way. And that's exactly what we understand is Avin Shama Prem Sfatenu. So therefore, when you understand that can make Musaf davening come to life. And without needing, it can come to life without having to kill an animal. That's what it's supposed to be. Question? Yeah. Oh yeah, no. You have a question, Michelle?
Yeah, I guess when there's still the part about wanting to bring the Avodah back to baby steps, but it says literally I mean,
It's always better doing the real thing because it's more vivid. But we can. In the meantime, this is the main thing. We want the avodah back because we want God's Shekhinah back. And the avodah is a sign that it's a sign that God's with us. He allows us to go out to eat together. I'll give you another example of this. This like play idea. I won't do it. Just like this idea of a national theater. Also with the Tzedach Hatat. Remember, there's that song on Yom Kippur called Mari Cohen. That's a big one. When did we sing Mari Cohen? Or we sing it once in the Master. But at what point in the Master do we sing it? It's a Musaf, isn't it? We're in Musaf. When we do that whole Avodah thing, we discuss the whole state of Avodah of the Kohen Gadol. On what day was that? What day did Moshe come down with the second Luchot? Yom Kippur. And why was his face? What did he just achieve? What was he there for? How long was he there for?
40 days, Tshuva.
Yeah. Ever since Rosh Chodesh he was there. He came down on Yom Kippur. And he asked for what? For forgiveness. And God forgave them by giving us what? What enabled that forgiveness? God changed his attributes to attributes of mercy. You follow? Now, and that was on Har Sinai. What's going to replace Har Sinai? The first Ramban in Parshat Trumah. The famous one. He says, why do we need a Mishkan right away? Because we never leave Har Sinai, we take it with us. And if you follow the Ramban, he's right on the mark, the Mishkan and later the Mikdash become a replica of Har Sinai, so we never leave it, we travel with us. So our stage, what's happening on Yom Kippur, you follow the Kohen Gadol coming out of, is Moshe coming from Har Sinai after giving kapara? What we want, the play we're putting on is Moshe Rabbeinu going up to Har Sinai, which is the Kohen Gadol going into the Kodesh Kodashim. Because what's in the Kodesh Kodashim? The Luchot. Understand? And Moshe came down with the new Luchot. What midot? Midot Rachamim. Remember when Moshe goes up? We read this. No one can go with you. You have to go by yourself. No one can go in when the Kohen Gadol goes in. No one can go in. There's an Anan, like the Anan on the mountain. The Torah. There's tons. Again, that's a whole shir. But I just want to give the example. When you understand that story in Chumash about the second Luchot, the Midat Rachamim, is central to our relationship with God. Because it's about our whole relationship with God and the ability to have Midat Rachamim. And therefore, the special Korban on Yom Kippur is even better. A better play. I'm trying to want you to appreciate how the Mikdash, it's not just like this like mystical, or even sounds like something pagan, feeding God and doing these. The things we do that make a lot of sense when you understand the connection to Chumash. When you understand it's a theater and we're doing something very deep. And when you understand the message of the theater, so then what you're doing becomes meaningful. Now, the last thing we want to do, we're okay for a little more time? One more?
It's very early. So
what?
It's very early. So
yeah, very young, yeah. We're okay time-wise. Everyone follow what we did so far? We got Rosh Chodesh. We did Yom Kippur cutting. That was supposed to be a joke. Because Rosh Chodesh they call it. Now you understand why Rosh Chodesh is Yom Kippur cutting? Because it is. And what we do on this routine checkup is every month, once a year we're doing a super duper Rosh Chodesh. It's not that Rosh Chodesh is a mini Yom Kippur, Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. It's Yom Kippur is a massive Rosh Chodesh. Instead of in one day, we do it in 10 days. Got that? And why we do that? Because that's the anniversary of second Luchot. Now, the last thing I want to do is a really cool play. I'll give out the source sheet in a minute. I want you to play a guessing game first. It's nothing to do with this time of year, but it's just a fun share. Sort of, it has a little bit to do with this time of year. It's called what? It's called Omer. You've heard of the Omer? Yeah, if you're playing an association game, someone says Omer, what's that? Do they have the game password? You say a word you know that game, right? You have to try to guess the word.
Rabbi, you're older than me.
Yeah. What's it called?
I know that game.
Yeah, what's it called nowadays?
I don't know.
Okay, that's the kind of game people play. You have to figure the word. You have to say something so they say it without saying it. Central measures, anyway, VRV. Yeah. No. So when someone says Omer, what comes to mind? Food. Food?
Shavuos.
Oh, Shavuos. Okay, Shavuos. That makes sense.
Food always comes to
Right.
mind.
What? you be quiet. Right? Omer. What comes to mind when you say Omer? Right? Counting from Matan Torah? Something we count? Like that. To the average person, right? Remember when you were in high school? What did Omer mean when you were in high school for a boy?
Long hair.
A chance to grow a beard? Okay? For a girl, no one can get married? Oh, no music. Not no music. Feeling guilty listening to music. I thought everyone laughs when I say that. Is that true?
Crazy thought.
No. We associate Omer with counting the weeks to Shavuot. But why is it called Omer? You ever wonder? What's the word Omer mean? Understand my question? You have no idea, right? Okay, so now, sort of thing. Omer goes like this. Here, let's get this page, one last page. Yeah, it's called the first week. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I know I'm doing this. I know it's connected. It's the first. We talked about the months. Our calendar is really awesome. What we do with time. Oh, I should have mentioned. I got a whole supply here. Yeah, pass these around. Before you don't read yet. Don't read the source sheet. I should have mentioned. Why is Rosh Chodesh a time of Kapara? I think it's awesome what we do to nature. What's happening in the sky? In Rosh Chodesh, there's a new moon. Now, other religions take that and they worship the moon. What are we doing? We're taking a phenomena of nature and using it as a stepping stone, as an opportunity to improve our relationship with God. It's ingenious what's happening. Everyone, before there was electricity, for sure. Remember? The moon's out, and then all of a sudden the moon disappears and it's starting up again. In nature, you have this phenomena of a new moon. Now, I can take that phenomena and use that as a catalyst. Hey, the moon's starting over again, a new cycle. Hey, maybe I can start. We can turn over a new leaf. Taking a phenomena of nature and using it as a catalyst to improve our relationship with God, that's Rosh Chodesh. So why am I doing my routine checkup on the first of the month? Because I'm taking a phenomenon of nature and finding meaning in it. Now, in the same thing I do on the agricultural holidays, it's the grain season starting, or the spring is starting. There's Chag Aviv, and then there's Amrei grain harvest and Chag HaShavuot, and then there's Sukkot, the end of the harvest season. There's the beginning of the rainy season, and all the other holidays. Each of them take a phenomenon of nature, and we use that again as a catalyst to develop a different idea in our relationship with God as a nation. Now, one other question of go with the title. We just celebrated Sabbath, Shabbos. So we have Rosh Chodesh, but we just had Shabbat. How long has Am Yisrael been keeping Shabbos for? Or not keeping Shabbos for? Or keeping? It's been it keeps us going, right? It's a great routine. In fact, I think the rest of mankind caught on with the idea of a week. But anyone know when the first week in Jewish history was? Like historically. When is the first time, in Sefer Bereshit, you're all familiar, are we ever told that like Noah kept Shabbos? We have the story of creation. But did anyone hear about it back then? Did Avraham Avinu keep Shabbos? Did it say that he did? Maybe he did, but it didn't say anywhere, does it? In Chumash. What I'm asking you is, when is the first time in Jewish history that we keep Shabbat? Now, in the Ten Commandments, are we commanded to keep Shabbat? But what's it say? Zechor et Yom HaShabbat L'Chadsho, which means? It sounds like we've already been keeping it. Have we?
In the Midbar?
In Mitzrayim, it says that we, and in Rosh maybe we did. But in Pshat?
So we're commanded about like the man and the
exactly. Now, the first time we find Shabbat, of that concept of a week, is by the man. And what we're going to find is how Shabbos came into being. It's a really amazing story. And it's really neat because we've been keeping this tradition for a couple thousand years, 3,000-4,000 years. Now, it starts like this. In the story of the manna. Have it? Do you see it? The first week in Jewish history? Who's my leader? Want to take over? Who likes reading? You have a page? Oh yeah, we're good. Who wants to read? You have to read. No one like reading? Do the Baal of Us? Who's the Baal of Us?
I can do it.
The one, first week in Jewish history?
Yeah.
The first source in the first week of Jewish history. Hey.
PLAYTIME.
Yeah, that's good. We have a date. Saturday night, we have a date. And what's it about? It's the 15th or 16th? The 15th of Adar. It's a while off, but the 15th of Adar. But that's 2.5 months from now. And they ran out of food. How come they ran out of food? Because they traveled to the wrong spot. There's no food. So what should you do when you don't have food? Complain, don't they? Do the people complain? Of course they complain. What's God's answer? Pasuk Bet, skip to Pasuk Dalet.
Vayomer Hashem Moshe, Hineni mamtir lachem min hashamayim.
That's wordplay.
Yeah.
Mamtir lachem min hashamayim.
Vayetzah ha'am va'alaktu davar yom b'yomo. L'man anasenu hayelech b'torati imlo.
What do we need to do? God says, you know what? I'm going to give you food. It's going to come from heaven. It's going to rain down from heaven your food. And why am I doing this? To test you or to get you ready for the Torah. L'man anasenu hayelech b'torati imlo. We're going to test you, are you ready to receive the Torah or not? Because you can't receive the Torah until until God's sure you're ready. Now what happened? One more line, Vaya.
Vaya b'yom hashishi v'hechinu et asher yaviu v'haya mishneh al asher yilketu yom yom.
On Friday it says you take what? Double. Now, how do they know when Friday is? They have a calendar? How are they supposed to know when Friday is? Want to take a wild guess?
6 days from...
Exactly. 6 days from?
From when they were being told.
6 days from when? Be a little more, not from when they're being told. 6 days from? Say a little bit better. But it says 6 days collected, and collect on the 6th day of collecting it.
They'll know when double portion falls, when Friday.
Yeah. And when would that fall? After how many days?
6.
After 6 days. Understand? Not 6 days from the 15th. Not 6 days from them when they complain. 6 days from when it starts falling. When does it start falling? On the 15th they complain. That was on the 16th in the morning. Got it? So the first time the month fell was the 16th in the morning. And from that day they counted 6 days. And 6 days later was the Good Friday. And 7 days later was the first Shabbat. Now, you'll shoot me for this one. But if you want to remember this, okay, what was the first Sunday in Jewish history? What was the date? The first Sunday of Jewish history was what date of the month? 16th. The 16th. Right? The 16th of Adar was the first Sunday of Jewish history. Every calendar, remember we do Birkat HaChama? Every Jewish calendar is anchored right here as far as the weeks go. Because every date has a date, remember, has a day of the week, a day of the month, a day of the year. Weeks begin right here. This is the anchor. If you want to remember that, what happened on the first Sunday?
Got free food.
Yeah, and what was that food called? Man. And therefore the first Sunday was a... No. I didn't say thing. No. But I'll help you out a little bit. What was the first Shabbos then? What was the date of the first Shabbos? It's hard math. You get some calculators for that. The 22nd of Iyar. Now, did they keep that Shabbat or did they go out and collect? From the story you remember? They went out to collect. They didn't find anything. And they learned the hard way. Okay. What was the next Shabbos? 22 and 7. That's right. 29. I can assume they kept that Shabbat. Okay. What was the next Shabbos? 29 and what? 29 and 7 is 36. The 36th of Iyar. There's no 36th of Iyar. So what date was that? What's the next month? Iyar. Sivan. So how many days in Sivan was it? Well, it depends on how long Rosh Chodesh was. So it's either what? Either the 6th or the 7th.
Is that where the debate comes from? What day?
Exactly.
Don't make sense.
But look in the Gemara, it says, everyone holds that what? The Torah was given on Shabbat. Oh, your Zmirot say that, remember? Shabbat, the Torah was given on Shabbat. You all learned that, didn't you? The Machloket is 6th or the 7th. Now you understand the Machloket. Everyone agrees it's Shabbat. Was it the 6th or the 7th? Was it a full moon? Was Iyar full or Chaser?
The Torah was given on the third Shabbos.
Huh. And after keeping how many?
Only one.
The first one we didn't keep.
Right.
We kept one. And the second Shabbat we kept,
right.
We got the Torah. What if I learn from there? If Amitel keeps 2 Shabbatot in a row. They get good. They're redeemed. It's cool enough. No. Now, what's cute about that, one law was taking double on Friday, that was an easy one, and not taking on Shabbat, that was a little rougher. No. But the most difficult law of the man was the daily mitzvah, which was what? How much could you take? As much as you need, not as much as you want. And how much were you allowed to take? And that's pasuk gets beat. Read Mr. Leslie.
זה הדבר אשר ציווה השם לכתוב ממנו איש לפי אכלו. Omer lagugolet, vayamodu, va'omer v'lo edif amaber.
Omer was this little cleat, maybe a little bigger than this, that they would scoop up the Omer with. It was a measuring cup that they used to collect the Omer. Make sense? But that's the first time we have the word Omer in Chumash. And that's what we used to collect the monk. Now, and if you took too much, remember, it got spoiled. That's how they learned the hard way. Now, how much did the Omer, how much was it? Every Balkori knows an Omer is a tenth of an ephah. But in Chumash, that's called a Nisaron. Nisaron is Asuri Teifa. Only in relation to the Omer is a tenth of an ephah called an Omer. That's the first word of Omer, and this Omer is so important, they put a thing of Omer into the Kodesh Kodeshim next to the Aron. So it's a symbol of our connection to God is Omer, because it's got a ready for Sinai. When's the next time we find the word Omer in Chumash? What other time? When there's a major time. That's going to be the next source. It better be the next source. Yeah. Read Steve. Listen carefully. This is amazing. Leibag? Yes, Steve.
וידבר השם ומשה לאמור, דברו בני ישראל ואמרת עליהם, כי תבואו אל הארץ אשר אני נותן לכם, וקצרתם את קצירה, והבאתם את העומר ראשית קצירכם אל הכהן.
What do we do? This is amazing. In the desert, what do we eat? What was our staple? Man. In the land of Israel, we don't need it anymore. Why? We have grain, don't we? No. In the land of Israel, when does the grain grow? Does it grow all year long? You familiar with the agricultural cycle of Israel? It doesn't grow year long. In the winter, it can't grow. You know why? It's too cold. In the summer, it can't grow. You know why? What? Too hot. Okay. When does it grow? In the spring. Why? You guys are laughing already. It's just right. You know that one? Oh, you grew up? I mean, what story is that? Is that Goldilocks? Yeah. No. Why did I bring that down? Oh, I'm sorry. In the agriculture in Israel, you can't grow grain all year long. In the Midwest, you can grow. You have water, if you have sun. You have several crops a year. In Israel, there's only one grain crop a year. Now, if the grain only grows in the spring, in fact, the harvest of the grain begins around mid-April and lasts about mid-June. It's about 2 months. That's forever. It's always that way. What do we eat the rest of the year? If grain is our staple, and we get bread from grain, what do we eat the rest of the year? If it only grows 2 months a year. Any ideas? What would you do? You'd like to have grain all year long, but it only grows 2 months a year. How do we solve that problem with grapes? Grapes grow once a year. What do we do?
Turn into wine.
Okay, we'll drink to that. Or raisins, okay. Olives, what do? We squeeze them into oil. You follow? Dates, and prunes, not prunes. Marim, dates, and figs, yes. And figs, we dry them out, don't we? You can store them. What do we do with grain?
Beer.
We'll drink that. The Egyptians came up with that idea. Because they fermented like everything. But we didn't have enough grain for that. What did Joseph do with it? You store it in a silo. But you have to be careful because it gets wet in the winter. It barely lasts the winter. In fact, if I want to make matzah in the spring, what grain am I going to use? It's not ready yet. Okay. The grain's going to be 10 months old. What do I have to do to make sure that I have grain in order to make matzah and it's dry and clean? I store it from when? From the end of the harvest season, from June, I have to store it in a very dry place to make sure it doesn't. What happens to grain when it gets? How do you make bread out of grain? What do you need to do to it? You have to grind it, don't you? Now, if you grind it when it's wet, what happens? You don't get flour. You know what you get? Mush. No, but if it's dry, then you get flour. And therefore, if I want to make flour for my grain later in the year, I have to store that grain carefully. What do we call that matzah?
Shmur.
Now, look on the box of shmur matzah. Take up the price tag because that'll scare you. But look what it says there. It says shmura mizman sira. Doesn't that make perfect sense? In fact, you're not allowed to touch the new grain until you bring. Remember, that's the whole thing of Chodesh, because out of respect. Now, I want to understand the law here. Now, I went too sidetracked. What are we having here? In the land of Israel, the grain only grows from in the spring, but we have to store it for the rest of the year. That's going to be our staple, and we're going to eat that the rest of the year. Therefore, the grain harvest is a very critical time of the year. So critical that Canaanites thought there was a grain god who was only working 2 months a year, like university professors. There's only a certain time of year. That's when you get, and that's it. So during those final seasons, right? You pray to your grain god or your professor. The rest of the year, you have your you have your music gods, you have your vacation gods, you have Florida, summer. Everyone has their gods. So you have. But according to Chumash, there isn't a real grain god. There's one God who gives us grain as well, based on our deeds. Now, what do? We want to thank God for our grain. During our grain season, what do? As soon as the grain season begins, look at that first line again. We begin our grain season, and this is always this important time of year, isn't it? This will be the staple for the rest of the year. Better be successful. As soon as the season begins, we go to our national theater. And look what we do. Okay? You've heard of the Stanley Cup? They still have that in Canada? Okay, good. Now, whenever teams win the Stanley Cup, it's a cup, isn't it? No one drinks from it, do they? You know what they do with it? What do they do with it? Maybe they do. But as soon as they get it, what's the first thing they do? The same thing we do with the lulav. It's called shnufa, isn't it? That's human nature.
You kiss it first.
Okay, yeah. You lift it up and down, like the Oscar. You do some action with it, but to show that it's important to you. Now, what do? As soon as our grain harvest begins, we take some grain and we call it omer. What statement are we making as a nation? The word omer in Chumash first begins with the man. We're making such a powerful statement. We're saying, we're about to collect the grain in the land of Israel. We're about to do it ourselves. But we're going to treat the man as though it's what? I just give away. We're going to treat our grain as though it's man. Isn't that awesome? Isn't that a powerful statement? We're going to treat what we do on our own with nature, and we're going to treat it like it's a miracle. And how are we going to show God that as we harvest our grain, that we're going to treat the grain that we grow and we take, we're going to treat it like it's man in the desert, and remember the whole man experience, and how the man experience gets us ready for our Sinai, and now it's like a miracle? Every day of our grain harvest, what do we talk about? On the first day when it starts, we bring this Korban Omer, and then we count 7 weeks, and what do we talk about every day? Omer, 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 Omer. Until we finish our harvest, and we have a Chag HaChatzir, and we talk about Matan Torah. Got it? And we thank God for our grain. Because that's what the original Omer was. Do you understand how powerful that play is and the idea is? It's a much higher level to work the land yourself and collect your own grain and treat it as though it's a miracle. Because God doesn't want us to stay in the desert. The desert is our training season. But that's why we bring Omer. Now Omer makes perfect sense, doesn't it? It's a play in the temple. It's not something magical. It's something very logical. And it also explains why it prepares you for Har Sinai, because it did in the desert, it prepares you for Har Sinai. Now, one last thing here, time's way up. There's one other mitzvah we have, which is similar. Speaking Matan Torah. Do we ever relive Matan Torah? Do we ever have a holiday or a time of any year that we actually relive Mount Sinai? We gather together and read the Torah in public? And we Shavuos, we do it like next minute. But in Chumash, is there some? What holiday is that? Hakel. You've heard of Hakel? It's the last mitzvah of Chumash. Every 7 years. Why not every day do Hakel? It's too often. Like the same reason I go to the dentist every day. But every year, even a little bit too often. Every 7 years. This is like a super duper checkup. This is like a. Got it? Every 7 years we have a national redoing Mamad Har Sinai. Hollywood style, where should we do this? If we want to really do Mamad Har Sinai and do it over again, we should go to a retreat out in the desert, right? Find a cool mountain, and what should we eat for the whole couple weeks beforehand? Eat man, have a real desert experience. What's the problem with that? You can't leave your land. where are you going to get mana from? And who says you control the sunlight? Hello? It's not we'd rather stay home. Chumash is a much better solution. When do we do Hakel? How come every 7 years? Because when Hakel is that on the source sheet? The back? Oh no, those other ones are about. You know about it though. Hakel was at the end of the Shemitah year, isn't it? It's the end of the Shemitah year. During Shemitah, what I want to suggest is Shemitah prepares you for Hakel, just like the man prepares you for Har Sinai. Why? What do people eat during the Shemitah year? You can't plant anything new, and fruits from last year. I mean, you can't. But things grow. Even if you don't touch the land at all, trees still give fruit. Grain still grows. It's still there. But who does it belong to? Everyone. Are you supposed to eat it? It's a mitzvah to eat it. It's kadosh. But it's hefker. It doesn't belong to the owner of the field. It belongs to everybody. And therefore, during the Shemitah year, when things grow naturally, is there food to eat? There's tons of food to eat. But there's a special halacha that comes with Shemitah, which is what? How much can you eat? Want to take a wild guess? Not Omer. Not much. As much as you need. Because I'll say, halacha says 2 meals. Enough for 2 meals. As much as you need to survive, to get around. But no hoarding. And that's how we prepare for Matan Torah. You follow? What Shemitah is doing is turning the land of Israel into a desert experience. Genius, halachically. Now Shemitah makes a lot of sense. Now, what I want to conclude with is you can give me the answer. If what I'm saying is correct, there should be somewhere in Chumash that tells me that the laws of Shemitah relate to Har Sinai. Now, where are the laws of Shemitah? What Parsha? Why is it called Parsha Bahar? Because it's the only law in Chumash. Even though they're all given on Har Sinai, every other law is introduced by Dabar Hashem and Moshe Lemor. And one law, and only one law, is introduced with a very strange introduction by Dabar Hashem and Moshe Bahar Sinai Lemor. And what does everyone ask? Ma'inyan? It's Har Sinai. The answer now is obvious. Because the laws of Shemitah are all about Har Sinai. And that's how Chumash tells us. And therefore, Shemitah is basically it's recreating the man experience in the land of Israel in preparation for reading Hakel. In fact, if you follow the laws of Shemitah, it's written just like the Mana, isn't it? It's just like Sfirat Omen. For the Shemitah count, it's almost the same word. And there's two parking. They're next door neighbors, and one's in Emor, one's in Bahar. They're the same thing. So I'm trying to show you. I want you to appreciate our calendar. The Jewish calendar is awesome. The week, the month, the years, the holidays. And I want you to appreciate our siddur, what we do on the holidays. Because it sounds, when you don't understand the background from Chumash, it sounds like a bunch of voodoo. So we do it because it's a tradition, but if you understand where it's coming from in Chumash, it makes a lot of sense. And I want you to also understand that the Mishkan that we're starting to build now, Parshat Truma, which sounds so distant from us, when you understand it as a national theater, and not some pagan, feeding gods and things like that in voodoo, but rather a very logical, rational set of rituals that we do to remind us and enhance our connection with God. We understand what their source was, and then when we adapt those ideas into our siddur, and our siddur comes to life, and how we celebrate the holidays begins to make a lot of sense. So why we have a Musaf for Rosh Chodesh makes sense, why we bring the Omer makes sense, and now, you need shtick, so we don't have shtick. We do other shtick. You follow? And it's good, that's what camp's about. And it works, doesn't it, with kids? You teach educational ideas through shtick. But you have to have meaningful shtick, not shtick is stum, but good shtick. And Chumash gives us great examples, and this is the mitzvot we keep, and those mitzvot help us give over ideas, but it's always important to understand the ideas behind the shtick so we can deal with them. So, and thank you for listening.
So thank you so much.